It is still this morning on ITV. It's time now for the concluding part of the program here. We'll be taking a look at how we can get off various drug abuse. You all know that the DCP Abba Kyari's issue is no longer news. He was declared wanted, arrested, with adherents are waiting for his prosecution. It's one too many. Many big names are into it. Just a way of the CEO of NDLA, General Abba Marwa, who is not leaving any stone unturned. We hope this continues up to whoever that is involved in it from all angles, because despite the fact that we are been seeing different releases from the NDLA at times with even visual and audio evidence of their activities at different borders and ports. If you go to some areas in the city center here, you are going to see people parking cars and of course stretching out their hands with huge amount of money in exchange of just some substance tied in a very, very small piece of paper or polythene bag. It means that a lot still needs to be done. You are also worried about that number that was declared in 2018, where about 14.3 million Nigerians are neck deep into drug abuse. What do you wonder? That is that number still the same? Has it increased? Will it drop? Will it drop? It's a question that we are going to be asking the National Program Coordinator Initiative for Community Action Against Drug Abuse. Community actions against drug abuse. I find this very interesting because these issues are done in the community, in uncompleted building, in abandoned schools. Even sometimes schools are not even abandoned. Go to Barnes and see what's happening there. Go to Wuse Market and see what's happening there. When you just find your way around that area, they just rush to ask you if you want what or you want that. It has stayed for a long time. It has to be changed. A very good morning and welcome, Samala Musa.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So how did you receive that news about the Super Cup?
Honestly, it was such a devastating news. It was something that actually hit virtually every concerned Nigerian who have some form of sympathy for people who have actually put in their best, or who have been seen to, put in their best in curbing crime or contributing in one way or the other to the development of this country. And Abba Kyari, there's no time you talk about insecurity, you talk about banditry, you talk about armed robbery, that his name will not resonate. It's a name that actually more or less of a household name in Nigeria. Back in the days of the SARS and the coming to IRT, whether you talk about the special tactical squad or anything, you must see traces of his hands or his footprints in all of this. So haven't even coming out, not only he hasn't totally wriggled himself out of that dust, but trying to a bit sail above board of the past scandal on the issue of the hush puppy.
The scandal is still there.
It's still there, but
FBI has not said that they are done with him.
Yeah, but we all know the kind of politicking going on. You understand, especially back home, because we keep seeing how back and forth the reports on that the panel submitted, or the ones that is supposed to come earlier. We saw that back and forth of how it was rejected by the Police Service Commission and all of that. So really, there's some politicking going on that you really can't tell, because sometimes in recent past, when he attended the wedding of the IGP's son, and he was very visible on the social media talking about that. I posted almost about 100 plus pictures from that wedding. So many people felt nothing concrete is going to come out of this investigation. So, but having said all this, you still have quite his goodwill spread across every nook and cranny of Nigeria, that some people felt, well, if that hush puppy thing is actually the only thing, I mean, this guy is negligible compared to what he has done in the past. You can actually just warn him and let him continue the good work he's been doing. But this news actually virtually hit everyone below the belt, and that's quite unfortunate. It's something that quite a lot of people haven't even come out of it, including people who were social media warriors have been silent about it, because the evidence was too much for any sensible human being to come out and want to defend what you really cannot defend.
So, as it stands now, is there any hope against drug abuse in Nigeria? Because if you have big names, they are part and parcel of the business. Can we ever have a headway?
You see, the major challenge of drug abuse is it's an industry that is actually has so much money in it. When you're talking about drug lords, these are authorities in different countries where they operate. These are people who actually can give you as an outfit fighting drug, they can give you more than your budget for the year, more than what the government is ready to give you for the year to run your activities. They are ready to give you ×2 of it in some cases, just for you to keep a seal lip. So it's an industry where you have deadly people who actually are determined, because it's not an industry where lily livered individuals actually operate. So these are people who are hardened, who sometimes even force their way into territories or fight at the border to make sure that they are good. So it's actually a kind of a paramilitary unit on itself, and has so much money at its disposal. So really, trying to fight that is not going to be easy. You understand? You need to be very determined. And seeing this kind of Abba Kyari saga, this is what happens across the board. Quite a lot of people, only God knows, even people who have been involved before even Abba Kyari got introduced to the system. Some persons were involved in the past, perhaps maybe their own era has ended, and now it's a new era, because from some of the testimonies we had, he started it in 2021, but I mean, it could be beyond that. So, but fighting that drug abuse issue is going to be, it's something that is doable, and that's why from our part, the ICADA, we're trying to actually take it to the grassroots, take it to the communities, because you need to start the fight from that. Let some other persons do it at the top, because at the point of entry, it is only the government that has the power to stop it. So at the grassroots level, the people within those communities also have a role to play in, when you see something, you say something. It's not going to be easy.
No, but when you say something and those that you actually give the information to don't run with it, what happens? It kills the morale.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to build a structure of how this information is defined.
You think people are going to be saying something on the Banes axis? All that happening in Wuse,
you see,
and so many hideouts in Asokoro.
You see, sometimes
people have been saying something.
Sometimes when you keep saying it, you keep rubbing it on their faces, out of shame, they begin to act. You understand? Because if you're sitting down as a DPO and this territory, let's say for instance the Banex axis is actually under your purview, and you're pretending not to know, but the more people keep talking about that place, your superiors will want to call you to order to say, but that place is under your purview, and then you also begin to look at your officers who are supposed to be in that area. So really, it's something that we need to keep saying. It's not just to say it once and keep quiet until it gets to the appropriate quarters.
We keep saying it until it gets to the doorstep of those that already know, because they know already. So there are many Abba Kyari out there. What can Nigeria do to also bring them to book?
Well, you see, the system is so corrupt that sometimes you don't even know who to trust to actually do the job. If, for instance, because I mean, Abba Kyari is actually at the center of this whole heat right now. If, for instance, NDLE did not have a video of that, you understand? I can bet you there's no guarantee this is going to come to the public glare. I mean, even if it does, people are going to find ways around it to actually exonerate him in the long run. Because if he's that neck deep involved with the drug cartel, I can bet you he's a rich man. And even if he doesn't have the cash, the cartel is willing to defend its own, especially useful officers like him, you know. So they're ready to spend billions to make sure that that case is swept under the carpet.
Because he knows the route.
He knows the route. you understand? And he has the wherewithal. So really, if I didn't mean he wasn't even having any case, like there was no any suspension, he's still within the system. I'm sure somehow, some way, he's going to intimidate the NDLE officer. You know, it wouldn't be like a cap in hand kind of negotiation. You know, so it's really difficult to actually know who and who that you know are trustworthy to want to fight this fight. And we need to give kudos to the man who actually was having an interface, the NDLA officer who was having an interface, who was bold enough to inform them in the office of his conversation with him, because you know that actually goes a long way to show that we still have good men in that society. We still have good men in in all some of these security outfits. We still have good Nigerians who will, no matter what, in the face of any other thing, will stand for what is right and what is the truth. You see, one of the dangers of this drug abuse that quite a lot of people have the tendency to look the other way is that, you know, you can say, oh, I have trained my own children, I give them good education, I do this, I do that. You're actually deceiving yourself, because the reason is you don't know. You are the one doing the upbringing of your children. They go to the same school with the ones who don't have good upbringing. They go to the same schools with the ones who are on drugs. You understand? There is peer pressure, especially when they get to that teen age where everybody's become so adventurous. They want to try this, they want to try that. You know, and quite a lot of people were lucky to actually, after that adventure, and escape and discontinue with that.
Or even got there but refused to try it.
You understand? So some people get trapped in that adventure and they got hooked, and that's how you see people are becoming addicts. It's just from one trial. So you don't deceive yourself and fold your arms and say, oh yeah, I've trained my own children well, they go to the same schools. You won't be there with them in the schools. When another child is bringing out something and show your child, and he is chewing it, telling your child to chew it, you won't be there. The child, out of some temptation sometimes, or because, you know, sometimes some kids get so influenced by their friends that they love. You understand? And boom, he goes. And he feels good about it the first day, then he wants to try it another day. He might even be the one, you know, until the other guy to bring it, he wants to try it more. On and on like that. So really, it's just a community action. Everybody needs to sit up to know. You, as a matter of fact, no matter how small your kids are, you know, once they get into the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you need to be checking their bags without their knowledge. In their school bag, you need to sneak into their rooms, check some places, just to know, just to see traces of what, so that will keep you on your toe to know that who have you been talking to in school, who are your friends in school, what are they up to, what are they discussing with you, you know. So you really need to be very concerned, because sometimes we have this tendency to think that those who are on drugs, they came from bad homes. That's not the case in most of the cases. Some of them actually have the best home training than your own children. You understand? But somehow somebody lured them into something they never bargained for, and that was just the end of it. You know, so really, it's something that we really need to sit up. All of us need to look into this issue and know that it's something that we need to come together to fight as a people.
Okay, the discussion is with the National Program Coordinator, Initiative for Community Action Against Drug Abuse, Samaila Musa. You know, there are many agencies, you know, known by government, many civil society organizations and NGOs all putting up fight to ensure that the issue of drug abuse, is tackled and buried. But unfortunately, in as much as these agencies and CSO and NGOs put up this fight to end this menace, it appears the number is increasing, and which is why in 2018, when UNESCO and the federal government embarked on that survey, 14.3 million Nigerians are neck deep into it, which is 1 out of every 8 Nigeria is on one kind of drugs or another. That number may have increased by now. So how can we come out from that? Like Samaila Musa said, it is a terrible thing. Drugs is one thing that reduces the productivity of a person, and when a person's productivity is reduced, it affects the community, it affects the state, if you're not careful, the country at large. It also creates deep hole in the pocket. You are working irrespective of how much you are getting, it is just being drained. So how can we have this issue resolved? Put it back to you again, because you are with the community, and of course you may have had a first-hand information on how it is done in the community, and that is why you said, for those people that are that pride themselves to say their children are well trained, hey, watch it closely. Otherwise you may see something like a powder, like a capsule, a tablet in your child's possession, and if you test it, if you begin to sleep, you may not wake up for the next 2 days.
Yeah, okay, with this question, let me add another twist to this. Back in the days when you talk about drug abuse, when you talk about drug addicts and stuffs like that, your mind always go to the poor. There is poverty that is making him to go into that. Those are more prevalent in the slums and stuffs like that. But I tell you today, you have more kids of the rich doing drugs than you have more kids of the poor doing it. And I give you Abuja for example. I tell you, quite a lot of times when you see girls holding bottled water, 8 out of 10 is not ordinary water that is inside of it.
Even if it's crystal clear.
Even if it's crystal clear. So a lot of times you want to sip out of the water, even from their friends, they don't allow you. You understand? 8 out of 10 is not ordinary water. Every major streets you go to in Abuja, I give you an example. Ademola Adetokunbo has so many spots. Aminu Kano has so many spots. You don't even need to know where they're selling the drugs. Once you pull up your car in the evening, looking around, they come approach you what you want. One day on Ademola Adetokunbo, I don't want to mention the specific spot, we just parked with a friend, and a guy just walked up to us, asking if we want coke. Meaning cocaine, So my friend and I, and we were just looking at each other like, is he like, an undercover police agent? But on another day, we saw how police came there to raid some of them, including himself. And after a while, in less than 20 minutes, he came back. So I dropped from the car and I called him. I said, well, the one police arrested just a moment ago? He said, yes. I said, so that you did this because you remember my face? He said, no. I said, no, you once came here, you want to sell something to us. He said, yeah, he still has it. I said, so how did you do it? He said, they are my men now. They are my men. You understand? So that is the kind of thing you get all around the place. Now, going back to the community, like you rightly ask, is that there are so many things that you don't even think can be abused as drug that have been abused. You can't imagine people are even sniffing sock away to get high, and it gets them high. People are taking local perfumes How they do it, I don't know.
Just to get high.
Just to get high.
And they're high.
And they're getting high. There's this thing, this paste they use in, I don't know if they still use it to patch tube. You know, they call it soleso. They still sniff it. They put it in a handkerchief and keep sniffing it, and they get high. You know, so many other things. People get pawpaw leaf, smoke it to get high. I don't know what they add to that. So many things. So, and these things are happening around. Sometimes when you think, oh, you've blocked this channel, okay, it will interest you to know that we actually initiated the move that made the Senate to ban importation of codeine. You know, back in 2018, we did a program in Kano where we brought the then Senate President to come and chair the occasion, and he was there, and we brought so many people who were hooked on drugs, you know, to come give their testimonies, you know, and it was quite touching an event, you know, and it was from there that we pushed for the Senate to actually ban the importation of codeine. Now, sometimes when we are blocking this angle, another one is springing up. Lately, I got to hear from someone, and good enough, I was at a forum at the leadership of the Council of Traditional Rulers just about 2 weeks ago, where they have a security summit, and the CG of Customs was there seated and actually called his attention to it, to say, sir, we also have it on good authority that some persons told us that to clear out a container of tramadol at the port now in Lagos is 250 million. So whoever is collecting that money has a cartel that he's sharing that with. You understand? And
also escort that product down
to the final destination. They do that to the final destination. As a matter of fact, we also hear there are some special people in Nigeria that when their container arrives, nobody checks what is the content until it gets to the final destination. You understand? Who is the officer that goes there? Nobody, they are containers. You know, and these are people who should be in jail today. These are people who are encouraging this. You see, the effect of drugs can never ever be overemphasized. I tell you for a fact that we once had an interface with the CBN governor where on authority he was lamenting to us how he had to create a rehabilitation center in Lagos within the CBN just to take them away from the public gap, because some of this, of course, you know, the kids of the rich are the only people you get in CBN that are working there. Some of them, once they get to the office in the morning, they put their head on the table, they are gone. They are never up until close of work. Why? They're hooked on drugs. Most of those, they are private schools where the rich of the kids of the rich attend. Sometimes they go, two universities here in Abuja, I don't want to mention names, started doing drug tests on daily basis for their students, because it's prevalent. You know, people share drugs like they share chewing gum in schools. You get, so really, and these are the leaders of tomorrow. These people who are getting hooked on drugs, they are the people you want to hand over Nigeria to tomorrow. So really, we must be a
way forward as a way of running the program. Way
forward is for everybody to sit up. This is not only the work of the government, it's everybody's work to do. When you see something, you need to say something. The more you keep saying it, it becomes very popular. People begin to say it until it gets to the right people it needs to get to. Now we have General Abba Marwa in NDLA. Of course, we are beginning to see the dividend of putting the right people in the right position, you know, to actually do the right thing. You know, I mean, as a retired military general with that track record, I do not think any police officer wants to intimidate somebody of that nature, really. You know, so it's for all of us to put hands on deck and begin to cooperate with the right people, and even the NDLEA itself, or whoever is saddled with responsibility of fighting drugs and other menaces, to also be putting a tab on its own officers, so that you can easily begin to fish out those ones, the saboteurs among you, the ones who are compromising, you know, because only God knows for how long, you know, this issue that got Abba Kyari into this deep mess has been going on. You understand, with some of the NDLEA officers who probably are the ones who say, oh, talk to social person, on our part, we're cool, we don't have a problem. So all of us need to put hands on deck to know that this is a serious issue. If you are not if you are not on drugs, be watchful, because you have siblings or you have children.
But can we begin to, question the extravagant lives that some of these officers with various security agencies live?
That is very important. It's very key. And you see, the mentality needs to start changing. There needs to be some reorientation for people to begin to celebrate. Are you sick? How can you start celebrating a police officer? You call him too much money. A police officer, how much is his salary? It should be a thing of pity, not somebody riding on SUVs. How many years has he spent, doing this work? Where is he getting the money from? The houses they are buying up and down, where are they getting these monies from? Just yesterday, we saw how EFCC roll out about how many houses or how many properties belonging to a military officer, that everything is worth about 10-point-something billion naira.
So many filling stations.
So many filling stations. So when you now begin to clap for this kind of people, you are encouraging it. Begin to celebrate them. And some of them are just clout chasers. Somebody like Abba Kyari, you saw how much he became a clout chaser. He always want to be in social media. He's enjoying the kudos. He's enjoying the applause from stupid Nigerian youths who should know that this kind of people shouldn't be celebrated. Because if you have somebody who is fighting criminals and is so much having so much money, you should know he should be questioned. And even his superiors, except if there is a chain of how the money is going up. Just like we always hear that each checkpoint you see, somebody is giving returns to somebody. Because if you as Abba Kyari's Oga sees how much he's living, because there's a limit to what you can even cover with your hands in terms of wealth. Abba Kyari's own is beyond what he can actually cover. It's all over the place. You understand? So if his superiors actually are looking the other way, they also should be investigated. Who has been beneficiaries of the proceeds of these crimes? So really we need to change our orientation. We need to know that it's high time for things to start working in Nigeria. You understand? Enough of just singing it that, and things can never change in Nigeria, it has to go on this same way, and things are getting worse by the day. We need to sit up and begin to change our psyche, to begin to change our orientation, that it is by actually doing the right thing. And why it's working in other climes is a white man will see his neighbor doing the wrong thing. He won't cover up for him. He will go inside and make a phone call to the police to come and arrest him.
Because he knows if he doesn't make that phone call,
you understand?
It will come to
him.
Yeah.
You understand? But over here we feel it is in the spirit of camaraderie, it is in the spirit of oneness that I cover for you. Even when your neighbor has murdered someone, you feel it is being a good neighbor to cover up, not to see anything.
No, but at times people try to expose such acts, but when they do so, you just discover that the person you reported comes and knock at your door and tell you, I am back. Yeah, I know you are the one who reported me.
And that's why it has to be
people's hands to be tight.
That is why it has to be holistically, and that's why I'm talking about this conscientizing and this reorientation. Everybody needs to know that you need to say something. Even the person because there are compromises within the system, because the people who came to arrest him will eventually now tell him, after he has bribed them, will now tell him that it was your neighbor who actually give us a tip. You understand? So it has to be looked into holistically, and that will have to start with even the security agencies to begin to know what is going on within the system. It is very difficult for you to see a police officer, somebody who is interested in joining police force, simply because he heard or he has seen that they are making money from taking bribes. How do you want to stop that kind of individual from corrupting the system? Ab initio, from outside, he is coming in simply because of that. He's not coming in because he's patriotic. He's not coming in because he wants to make a change. He had, or his friend told him that there's so much money to make, and that's why you see the jostle. When they even become officers, there's also another set of bribes going on where to be posted to. You want to be posted to where? Good posting. As a matter of fact, you cannot be posted to where the Niger Delta, the creeks area, where people will be involved in the joint task force. If you don't pay nothing less than 10 million naira upward, you cannot make it there, except somebody wants to put you there as his eye. You understand? So these are all the things going on within the system. The corruption is so deep into the system that really we all need to sit up. We all need to sit up.
Yes. We all need to sit up. Thank you so very much, the National Program Coordinator, Initiative for Community Action Against Drug Abuse. Comrade, let's say comrade now. Samala Musa, thank you so much for your time. You really spoke with passion and with optimism that these people involved be arrested. I mean, it is obvious. They can be pinpointed in almost all the agencies, you know, and the change we yearn for will actually be achieved. Thank you once again, and this is where we wrap up the program for today. I'll say we thank you so much for investing your time with us. If not for you, we will not be here. Tomorrow we'll also be here again at the last edition for the program for the week. It will be early, 7 a.m. bright and early. Join us then.